जयशंकर. दक्षिणास्य समारंभा शंकराचार्य मध्यमा अस्मदाचार्य पर्यंता स्मर्या गुरुपरंपरा श्रुतस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतं वन्दे भगवन्तः पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमव्यक्तातदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. परिज्ञानाश्रम श्री गुरु शंकर परिज्ञानाश्रम शंकर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्ण पांडुरंग आनंद परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शंकर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. Over to Gautam ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Jai Shankar, on behalf of Kanara Saraswat Association Chitrapur Saraswat Network, हमारी KSA CSN आम्ही अशी acronym यूज करतात. सांगेल वतीने सगळ्या अटेंडीज अंक आणि स्पीकर आणि डिग्निटरीज हांका सादर वेलकम आमगेल्या. So to briefly introduce KSA CSN. CSN was started in 2019 अंतू गुरु पौर्णिमे वेळारी स्वाम्यांगल ब्लेसिंग्स घेऊन आमगेल वेबसाइट स्वाम्यांगल उपस्थितींतू ताजे उद्घाटन झालेलं आहे. KSA Kanara Saraswat .in/CSN website. Now CSN is basically to get bhanups together so that they get under ekmekalangal business such information share करून get to know about each other's business. आत्मा प्रत्येकाला एक थोडे goals असतात किंवा there are some targets that he or she would want to connect with. Say like somebody wants a chairman of SVC Bank. Now somebody in the group knows the Durgesh ma'am. So they will check with Durgesh ma'am, revert to the person who is looking for that connect. Kon dila zaid once Durgesh ma'am gives is okay. Durgesh ma'am is just an example. I mean, it's not a specific instance. So then the intermediary member of CSN would put the two in touch, and there the role ends. Then whether he gets the work, job or not is depends on the various parameters that are involved in decision making of a commercial decision making. But the important point is ki आम्ही एकमेकांक मेळनो गुर्त कोण घेऊन एकमेकांगल गरजा ज्ञान घेऊन तांक हेल्प कश करचे मदत कश करचे हाजेरी विचार करून त्या इफेक्टान धाडचे. दॅट्स द होल इसेन्स ऑफ CSN. बिकॉज एक असं एक वन थिंग विच आय युजली लायक टू कोट इज मोरू पडलेल्याक सुद्धा गुर्त ना जाल्यार आमी मोरू पडलेल्याक सुद्धा हेल्प करू असं नाही. जाल्यार गुर्ताच्या बॉट जरी आपले अयो कल जालमा म्हणून धांवता वी टेंड टू फॉन ओवर द पर्सन. सो द इसेन्स इज गेट टू नो ईच अदर वेल, get to know about what the other person wants and try to help each other. This is by one aspect of CSN. Other aspect is knowledge sharing sessions. How to be an author. It's a knowledge sharing session which Arjun will take. तशीच आम्ही मस्तीत सेशन्स घेतल्या ती budgetary, how to make a resume, how to work for an interview and other aspects. Excel actually workshop अशिला. So these knowledge sharing sessions are also an essential part of CSN. Magiri with the extremely successful आमची गल्ला सांगाती मुलाकात म्हणून एक फीचर जाता. तांतू तांगेले some person from representing CSN तांग इंटरव्यू करून तांगेले एक्सपिरियन्सीस अनुभव आणि त्यांनी कशी त्या स्थितीर पावली खंयकल फॅक्टर्सान तांक हेल्प केले हाजेरी आम्ही उलयताती. सो दॅट people, it could be an inspirational event for people who want to get into entrepreneurship. So अशी मस्त असते ती. At a later stage, we may have a, or rather we may we will we are planning to have an employment portal also. But ताजी अजूनही base जातं असं. It is still in work in progress. So that will take about a year or more to fructify. Right now, the goal of CSN is to help existing entrepreneurs do better than they are doing now, and new desirous entrepreneurs to come into business. This is by and large the essence of CSN. Gopi ma'am, I am through. Back to you. Gopi ma'am, ऐकतच काय अर्जुन हावलेला?
हो ऐकून शकतो.
गोपी ma'am offline होतील असं दिसतं. Gopi ma'am.
Yeah. Hello.
I'm through the introduction.
Okay. Thank you, Gautam ma'am.
Welcome.
Yeah. So we are welcome to all in today's knowledge sharing session. Today our knowledge sharing session is all about how to publish a book, how to write and publish a book. We have the fortune of having with us one of the successful authors, Arjun Hemmady. He is a fourth generation resident of Talmakiwadi. He is a full-time treasury finance professional, and he has showed an inclination towards writing since a very young age. And he has written numerous articles in Kanara Saraswat magazine also throughout his lifetime. His first book that he has published is called You Raise Me Up, which is a romantic comedy of a chartered accountant, which he released in December 2015. His second novel is called Captain Khadus, a cricket-based fiction drama with a background of mental health, which was released in November 2019. This book has garnered rave reviews and has been listed on the Amazon bestsellers list also. So very great achievements, very successful publishing record. So let us join Arjun in this masterclass as he takes us through the process of writing and publishing a novel. Arjun Hemmady, the floor is yours. Arjun, please take on. Thank you.
Hello everybody. Thanks to KSS CSN for giving me the opportunity for sharing my experiences. So I think I'll just dive right in. And so I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. So I'll just share that with you all. I'll share my screen. So let me know if you all can see this. You all can see the screen. You can see the presentation.
Wait,
Yes,
discuss.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Discuss.
So, yeah. So I'll just start from the beginning. Yeah. So just a little bit about myself first. So I work in an integrated travel company as a treasury finance professional. So this is my day job. This is what keeps me busy in a way from Monday to Friday, sometimes on Saturdays also. So this is my full-time job. And so I started writing since my school days. However, this over here, I'd like to state that when I would give my articles of publication in the, like in my school magazine, they wouldn't be accepted, as the editor used to tell me that it wouldn't meet the standards. Now, what the standards was, I don't know, but why I included this in the slide in my presentation is because everything has a time, I believe, and maybe that wasn't my time. So just because one faces disappointment in the earlier days does not mean that one should get dejected or quit one's passion in a way. So one should keep on working. If one really believes in one's passion, then one should keep on pursuing one's passion. So I wrote my first story after my 10th standard, which is a political military thriller. I would like to probably make that into a book someday. So I showed it to Bipin Adkarni ma'am, who also lives in Wadi and who's an award-winning director. So he really liked the story, and he gave me a handwritten note. So this is a very long time ago, probably in April or May 2005. So that gave me a bit of confidence that I have a skill and that I was skilled and knack at writing. So in 2010, I started writing in KSA magazine. My first article had come out in 2010, which was about what happens one day before a chartered accountancy exam. So I've written around maybe 10, 12 articles so far, I think, on various topics, whichever topic came to my mind. So yeah. So it's a really funny story how I got the idea for writing my novel Captain Khadus. Captain Khadus was the first idea which I thought I should write into a book. So I was playing a computer game on the computer. It's called EA Cricket, and while playing that, I decided so that I created a customized character and I gave it a name. Then like the name of the character is called Suraj Bhatkal. He's also an Amchi. So I thought, what's the backstory of this character? So it took a bit of time, but that's how the idea for my first novel came about. So Captain Khadus took some time for it to unravel it to myself. So in the meantime, I got another idea for a romantic comedy drama in a way. So it was called You Raise Me Up, and it released in November 2015. So Captain Khadus took me 8 years to write. I got the idea first time in around December 2011, and the book got released in November 2019. So it took me 8 years to write the story from the time that I got the idea till the time that it got released. So in January 2022, Captain Khadus had come in the third position of Amazon's list of bestsellers in cricket. This was a very, very big day for me. It's not every day that one's book is listed side by side with MS Dhoni or Suresh Raina's book. So that was that was a very, very big day for me, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So in April 2020, I got the opportunity to write in the Daily Guardian. I write cricket-based articles. The Daily Guardian is an e-paper of the Sunday Guardian. I do write in that article, like in the newspaper occasionally even now. So in July 2020, when Captain Khadus had done well till that point of time, I was interviewed on NewsX channel, and on the success of my book. So there is also one program called Tomorrow's Amchi Legend. So I'd like to thank Santosh Shirura and also Samir Haladi for considering me worthy enough to be considered as a rising star in our community, and I was also interviewed for that. So as I said, I'm a treasury finance professional. This is my full-time job, and writing is my passion. So sometimes it feels exactly like like the photograph which I showed right now. Sometimes it is actually like having two jobs, because after I come home, after I've done whatever work I've, like whatever work I have for the day, then I sit down, I do my research, and I start writing. So it is actually like having two jobs at the same time. So I usually don't share that I'm an author in my workplace, but when people do find out, they ask me something like this meme which I shared over here, like Akshay Kumar is saying, "Bhai sahab, ye kis line mein aa gaye aap?" So this is yeah. Sometimes people ask me that question, but it's okay. I mean, I have a passion, and I'm really fortunate that I've worked hard and I've got a bit of success in that. So that's about it. And so coming now to the writing part, an author is not a writer. When people come to me, some people, like quite a few people do come to me and ask me for advice that I want to be a writer. That's when I tell them, what, being an author is more than being a writer. It is not equal to, in fact, being an author is greater than being a writer. It has much, much more components. So these are the main components of being an author. Firstly, it is writing, editing, and marketing. Now, this is the next slide. So an author is like an actor. Now, Vicky Kaushal is my favorite actor. So he's equally good at drama, action, romance, or whichever other genre is there. So similarly, an author should be well versed at writing, editing, and marketing. Now an aspiring author cannot say that I will do only one thing. That is not that's not correct. That very few people, very few authors can or even should. I would highly recommend. I would not recommend anybody to say that I will not do editing for an author, because an author has to do everything. Writing is a very, very small part of being an author. So the three stages in writing a novel. So this is Virat Kohli. This is the early stages when he had joined, like the Indian cricket team. And just look at how Virat Kohli is looking in this photo. He's looking fresh faced. He's full of enthusiasm. He thinks that life is all sunshine and rainbows in a way. So this is exactly the same way in which an author feels when when one decides to be an author, like start writing a book. So um, there are a few things that one must keep in mind at each stage of writing writing a novel, or in the process of writing a novel. The first part, in the first stage, that let your creative juices flow freely. Don't worry how the final product will look. Now, one thing is there, that when you start writing a book and what it will end out being will be two very different things. The main theme, the main story would probably remain the same, but there will be changes along the way, and it's okay. That is the process of writing. So this is stage two, rewriting and editing. So that phase is exactly what if I if I were to describe how that feels, this is exactly the face that I would make if I had to think about that, because it is a little tough, and it is actually a little frustrating also. So this is when reality strikes. When we write the first draft, and then we start reading it, then we come to the real then we come to the realization that probably it may not be as good as we think, and that the book or the writing requires a lot of polishing and finishing work that is required. So there are a few things which one must keep in mind during the editing stage, especially. The first thing is that it can be uncomfortable, and this I'm giving a disclaimer, because editing is a significant part of writing, of publishing, or of writing a like a book. So one must be diligent during this phase. One should not shirk from editing. Even though I have written two novels and I'm on the process of writing more, even then editing is a phase which I'm not very, let's say, it's an acquired like it's a medicine which I have to take. It आमच्या घरात म्हणतात "चिका कडू लागतं तरी घेऊन का पडतं." It tastes bitter, but I have to take it because it's good for me. So that's what editing is. And when one will get a publishing contract, in the next few slides I will tell you all how to get a publishing contract also. But when one gets a publishing contract, an editor will be assigned. Now that editor will do probably 3 or 4 rounds of editing, and also proofreading of one round of proofreading. But the major portion of editing has to be done by the author himself or herself. So just to give an example, when I was writing Captain Kadus, during the editing process, I edited Captain Kadus. I read and edited it every day for 3 months, because I didn't want any errors to come into the editing, at least. Because see, there are some things which are subjective, like the storylines, the story, like the main plot of the story, that people may like or people may not like. That is not in my control. What is in my control, I try to control that. So I try to ensure that when people pick up the book, they will not put it down because of bad editing. Good or bad editing is something which is in my control, and bad editing is noticed by absolutely everybody. So one of the problems which I will share, which happened with my first book, was that I still believe that the plot of the book was very good, but the editing was not as good as it should have been, and that is why a lot of people did not end up finishing to read the book. So that is something which I took to I learned from that mistake, and I didn't make the same mistake again during my second novel. And also, the very important point, something which I struggle with myself also, is that I sometimes am afraid to read my own work. And this may happen with a few authors, but it's important to be brave and face one's fear and read one's own work and edit it oneself. And one must be one's own biggest critic and supporter. That this is what I firmly believe in. So this is the third stage of the marketing process, third stage of the writing of like publishing a book. So over here we see Virat Kohli being all glamorous and everything. So this is what one has to do in the marketing stage. Marketing has to be done by every author, and to be honest, it is never ending. So this is the time when one should reveal the work that you've done, and one should show one's light-hearted and probably charming side also to the world. So where to market one's work? Now this is also very important. So the first place where one should market one's work, this one, where one should market one's work is Facebook. However, that being said, the audience is limited to only the people who know you. So it is limited to one's friend list. And a lot of people are actually now moving away from Facebook to the best of my knowledge, and they're going to Instagram, which is the second part. So in Instagram, the audience is unlimited. However, if one has written a book, if one has written a novel, the audience is unlimited, but one should keep one's profile public so that everybody can see your views. Now, like see your posts and everything. So that is something which I will definitely recommend, being active on Instagram and also Twitter. Though I'm not very active on Twitter, I want to be, but the audience on Twitter is also unlimited. The number of people who can look at your posts and react to them is unlimited. And the fourth point, this is a gray area. This is influencers, people who call themselves influencers. So they increase the visibility of your product. However, one has to be careful before collaborating with them, because it is usually a paid collaboration. So one has to also consider the credentials of the influencer themselves. What work have they done in the past? What kind of services do they provide? How supportive are they to you? Or are they there are a few influencers who are just in it to make a quick buck. So a lot of people, some influencers just do a half-hearted job. But so here you have to be careful as to and consider also who that who that influencer is, because you're going to invest your money into that. And also one has to consider a budget before deciding to avail of the services. So some things to be kept in mind in the marketing process. So this was one advice which I was given very initially, when just after the release of my first novel. So I was told that if you make every post on your social media about your book, people will definitely cut off. People will say that this guy is equal to his book, and that is something which people don't like. They want to see, one has to, in the marketing phase, one has to not only market one's own work, one's own book, but one must market oneself as an entire, like a and market oneself totally. So however, the second point over here is that try not to create unnecessary controversy by posting on maybe controversial issues. I personally choose not to post anything on controversial issues, because that is something which kind of makes people very uncomfortable. And I personally use social media to have fun and to kind of relax. So that is the same thing which I want people to do when they look at my social media pages. So I try to keep it light, inspirational, and fun. So if I may have a breakdown, if I have 20 posts, maybe 15 of them are about any random thing, about cricket, which is which is a passion of mine, or about mental health is also something which I really am very passionate about. And then maybe 3 or 4 posts out of those 20 posts maybe about my book. So I keep it very, I may say that I under market my books to an extent. However, that is my personal see. Everything that I'm telling, like sharing over here in this presentation is my personal opinion on things. It is not every author will, every author will definitely have their own, his or her own opinion, and that opinion is 100% valid. So that is about the marketing. So I just like to share memes and everything. So this is one promotional post which I've done. So there was one Pakistani, some video blogger who had said, "ये हम है, ये हमारी कार है और ये हमारी पार्टी हो रही है." So I made one post like, "ये मैं हूँ, ये मेरी novel है और ये novel की promotion हो रही है." So people, so like when you're marketing one's work, I know, I mean, this sounds very derivative, but it's one should try to be a little creative while doing the marketing also. So now, how to get the book published? Now we are getting it out, like down to the crux of the matter. So the first one is self-publishing. Now Kindle is one way to self-publish. The second is vanity publishers. They are called vanity publishers. That is publishers who take money to publish your work. The third is literary agent. If you go through a literary agent, they will represent you to the book, like to the publishing houses, and then you can get a contract. And in the next slide, I'm going to discuss the pros and cons of each of them. So pros and cons of each route of publishing. So self-publishing. So your book will definitely be published. All you have to do is to probably log into Kindle and upload your book. It is relatively inexpensive, and the amount that you save on publishing can be invested in marketing also, because to the best of my knowledge, Kindle publishing is not that expensive. However, the flip side of that, the negative side of that is that usually, now this is not a rule, but usually self-published books lack a bit of credibility, because sometimes it is considered, quite a few people consider that the books which are not accepted by literary agent or by vanity publisher also, which is a very rare case, because vanity publishers usually accept any and every project. So um, even if they reject it, so the only way left is to self-publish the book. However, that being said, there are authors who I know personally who have consciously chosen to self-publish their work. So that being said, the it is not a total loss if it is not that, just because one has self-published one's work, it means that it has been rejected by everybody else. This means that, like the author has decided the pros and cons, the financial viability of every route, and then they have said that, okay, I'm going to do self-publishing. The second is vanity publishing. Now again, the book will be guaranteed to see the light of day and it will get published. However, it is expensive because publishing fees are involved. One has to pay a fee to the publishing house, and usually such publishers lack market credibility. Now, in the publishing field, market credibility is something which is very, very important. Now, if now somebody is going to pick up a book tomorrow and say that is from Rupa Publication, like it is a very well-known publishing house, they know that it has gone through stages of publication, stages of verification and everything, and then the final product that is there is something which is verified. However, this is everybody's opinion. I mean, this is the people's personal opinion. However, one has to be careful while approaching vanity publishers, and it is also expensive because when you like invest money in for publishing the book also, that is just the publication fee. That does not include marketing. So one has to invest even more amount in marketing also. And the third point, this is something which I would personally recommend, that is going through a literary agency. I personally have a literary agent, Sohail Mathur. He's of the Bookmaker Literary Agency. So what happens in this is that you submit your book to them. Now they will also put the book through stages of verification and editing before it is submitted to a publisher also. Because bear in mind, it is something, because it depends, because the quality of work that they submit to a publisher will determine their reputation also. So they will give a near complete or a near perfect product, or like a near complete book to the publisher. Now it definitely has a lot of market credibility. Now a good literary agent will give guidance during the publication and also the marketing stages. Now one very important thing over here is that if one faces a conflict, God forbid, if one faces a conflict with the publication house, like between an author and the publication house, the literary agent can step in and they will help, like sort out the problem for the author. That is something which a good literary agent will do. However, the cons is that it at times can be a little expensive, and you have to see in all these three stages, like all these three routes of publication, expense on marketing has to be incurred. It is like I can give you an example, like if you don't study for an exam, you will not pass. However, if you study for an exam, there is a chance that you may or may not pass. Similarly, if you don't do marketing, your book will not be known and it is definitely going to fail, except if you're a celebrity like a Sachin Tendulkar, or if you're writing on a famous, like writing on a famous topic. So if one is a non-celebrity and one wants to write a book, one has to invest in marketing. So now this is like a graphical representation of the amount of time each stage of writing a book takes. So the one in green is writing. This is like between 5 to 10%. Actual writing of the first draft does not take that much time. The second stage in blue is rewriting and editing. This takes probably 25 to 30% of the time. And the major chunk of like the time that an author takes is in marketing. This is 60 to 70% of the time, and this is something which an author cannot avoid and should not avoid. So one has to put oneself out into the world and market one's work. Now again, there is one very sad tendency among Indian readers towards Indian books. So Veer Das had come up with some controversial thing that I live in an India where blah 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 something had said. So this another writer, a fellow writer that I know, author who I know, he made this presentation over here that I come from an India where people consider foreign books of foreign authors as masterpieces, but trash talk about books of Indian authors just to show that they're elite and intellectual. Now, this is a very much rising tendency, especially among like it is there among Indian readers definitely, because like now the number of Indian authors has really increased. However, it was not always the case. If you talk about the 90s or the early 2000s, there are very few good Indian, like well-known Indian authors. Chetan Bhagat was somebody who kind of, you can say, revolutionized the publishing industry, like the writing industry. And after that, there have been the number of authors in India are huge, and the number of good authors in India are also very huge. So this is a sad thing that even after somebody, even after an author has invested so much of time and energy and money also into writing a book, there are people who have this preconceived notion and try to pull one book, like pull an Indian author's book down just because of like a preconceived notion that Indians can't write good books. I personally don't agree with this, but this is something that is very much there. One has to be aware of this tendency. So the final suggestions that I have is, if one wants to write a book, one must have realistic expectations. Now there are two kind of authors. One author is a non-celebrity author and one is a celebrity author. Now I have given the example of Sachin Tendulkar's book, Playing It My Way. Now, for a celebrity author, like we say in Hindi, naam hi kafi hai. So the name itself is enough marketing. Usually they may not need to do much marketing also. I don't know how much they do. But however, that being said, the name sells, and name is very important. So Sachin Tendulkar's autobiography, it is said, sold 1.5 lakh copies in the pre-order stage itself. So before the novel is released, before big, famous, novels written by famous people are released, they go for pre-order. So for example, if a book is going to get released in say June, it will open for people to buy the book from April itself. So people can buy the book in April itself, but they'll get the delivery in June. Now in that phase, when the book has not even been released, Sachin Tendulkar's autobiography sold 1.5 lakh copies. Now that's a huge thing, but that was Sachin. Sachin is Bharat Ratna, like it's a great star. So naam, like the name sells. However, for a non-celebrity author, one has to be realistic and one must have realistic expectations. Now, what is a good kind of, what is a good number for a celebrity author? Is like for a non-celebrity author is a small number for a celebrity author. But as I said, one must have realistic expectations. Now, also the third very important point is that when the book is going to come out into the open, it is going to receive a lot of criticism and praise. You should take each of them with a pinch of salt. Now you should know the strength and weakness of your own work. Like for example, the strength of my novel Captain Khadus was its editing. So I knew that if somebody criticizes the storyline or the story that I've written or for the plot, that is up to them, because that is, as I said, that is very subjective. Some people may like it, some people may not like it. However, there are some things which are not subjective, which are objective. Like for example, editing. Editing can be good or bad. There is no, according to me, there is no in between for editing. So now here, it has to be very one must drill this, drill this point into one's mind. that every criticism is not genuine. Now, there are a lot of people who don't like praising people. And when you ask somebody for their opinion, they will, it puts them in a position of power. And a lot of people don't know how to handle that power. So they just, you know, they just say anything that comes to their mind and they will not praise. Now, this is an unfortunate fact. I've faced that myself. So it is important to have faithful and dependable people around you. Your beta readers who like, who you really trust, who you know will not take you for a ride, and whose criticism is genuine. So if you have such people around you, so it is really helpful. However, that being said, one's own opinion should be, it's like one's self-confidence in oneself as an author is the most important. It's like if you're building, if you're building a skyscraper which is 10 stories high, for example, uh, it is going to be as high, and like it is, its foundation should be very strong. The same way, one's confidence in oneself as an author is something which one should always have, and all the criticism and praise that one gets, that is just an add-on. One should not take that to heart. Like late Rishi Kapoor had said on Coffee with Karan show in, I think, 2000, early 2000 sometime. That was when Ranbir Kapoor was just coming into the into the scene as an actor. So Karan Johar asked him as to what advice would you give Ranbir Kapoor. So that advice which Rishi Kapoor gave was really amazing, I thought. He said that don't let criticism go to your heart and success to your head. So that is something which one must really, really adhere to, I believe. That don't let criticism go to your heart and success to your head. So these are some of the final suggestions that I had. And yeah, so I think I'm done with my presentation. So if you'll have any questions or queries, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from anyone?
Okay, I've got one query. How do you contact literary agents? So yeah, so what we can um, so each literary agent will have a website. One has to email to them their like your requirement, your like what idea that you have in your mind, and then you can take it forward. However, if you all really want information, there are some things which I can't probably share on this public platform. Maybe after some time I can, after the session is over, you all can always contact me. I'll probably share my contact details. Gopinath ma'am, if you could share my contact details, I'm happy to help out. So if
I will
you,
write
yeah,
your number in the.
yeah.
I'll share your mobile number in the chat box.
Yeah, sure. I'll share my mobile number in the chat.
Can I ask a question, please, Arjun?
Definitely, sir.
Sorry,
Definitely.
this is Dhananjay Joshi.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Thanks for a lovely presentation. I think your
Thank you.
slides were fantastic.
Thank you.
Right. I think you covered all the dimensions of writing, publishing, etc. And that I especially like the difference between an author and a writer.
Okay.
Right. So now I have clarity on that. Right. One of the reasons why people, I think one point I would like to add on to whatever you said, for the benefit of all our listeners also, is that the reason why people buy a book or they read someone's writing is if they can gain a value from it.
Yeah.
A reader always asks himself this question: what's in it for me? So what is the value that I gain from it? So in your experience of writing, how much do you think what kind of value do you think you transmit to the reader?
Yeah. Firstly, thanks for your question and like your observation also. However, here I have a very different view. I personally believe that one should not think as to how one's work will affect the reader. I think one should write a story which is relevant also. Relevance, that story being impactful is very important, but that story should be something which one believes in. So I write stories personally that I believe in. Now both the novels that I've written are, they have a background of a social topic also. So that being said, one should not just write something because it is the flavor of the season or something like that, but one should write something which one believes in also. That's the most important thing, because if you don't believe in that, you won't put in your 100% effort into the book. So these are my 2 cents on your question and observations.
Yeah, thanks.
I just hope that I've answered your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Yeah.
Arjun, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second, I'll just read it out. Where do you, this from Vidya Gunwante, where
Yeah.
do you
So
get their names from?
yeah. So if they can contact me on my mobile number, I'll be happy to guide them. But some things I can't probably share on this live. So it's on the website. Like each literary agent will have their website. What one can do as a starting point probably is to go to Google and type 10 best literary agents in India. So that is something that is a starting point in a way. And so, however, who are the good ones and everything, I don't want to take sides on public platform, but yeah, I'll be happy to guide offline if you're interested.
Is there any cost involved for the author?
Yes, so literary agents do have their fees. Each literary agent has their own different fees. So that one has to negotiate and decide between the author and the literary agent.
Before
So
publication or after publication?
that depends on each literary agent. So yeah, so that's between the author and the like and the agent. But that being said, I would highly recommend working with literary agents, as I've said in my slide.
Okay.
So Arjun, I have
Yeah.
a question.
So
See, when you are in stage 1, that is when you
Yeah.
are ideating and actually writing your novel,
Mhm.
many times you come across what is known as a writer's block,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, there is a stage where, you just don't know what to do and how to go ahead. So, is there anything that you would like to share in terms of how can we overcome a writer's block?
That's a very, very important question actually, and thanks for asking that. One has to have a balance of being kind and strict with oneself. So one should not kick oneself for having writer's block. Every author is going to have that at some point or the other in their writing career. So that is one thing. One should, however, if an author realizes that they are not writing for a very long period of time, say 3, 4, 5 months, then one has to just like bite the bullet, sit down and type whatever and write whatever. That is my personal genuine advice. This is something which I also struggled with and continue to struggle with even now. That there's no escaping from that, even if one has written multiple books. That is going to happen. So, as I said, it is a kind of a mix between being kind and strict to oneself. So that's my answer to that.
Thank you.
Yes, they've raised their hand. I think Nandan Sawnal has raised his hand.
Hi, Arjun.
Hi.
I have, being your maternal uncle, I have had the occasion of listening to you and taking your advice in an unstructured way. This was wonderful and a very structured platform to see all your thoughts which have come out. And this was a wonderful presentation. In private forums, you have answered all my questions, and I look forward to your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thanks to you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for attending and thanks.
And I look forward to your support on a continued basis.
So that's always there. Yeah, that will always be there. I'm open to answering any other queries if you have.
Yeah, Arjun, I would like to ask you some questions.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, you mentioned three options.
yeah.
Uh, but assuming that we have a literary agent with you,
Hmm.
uh, would this literary agent also is he attached to a particular publishing house, or he will advise you basically all the options where you should be able to try? Because I believe not success is not necessary in the very first submission, but unless this literary agent is tied up with a particular publishing house.
Hmm.
So, in terms of the method in which this literary agent operates, uh, do you think that this literary agent has a reach across very many publishing houses? What What is your experience? How do they work?
See, I probably on a public, like on a public platform, I may not be able to answer how they work, but I can tell you one thing, that a good literary agent will have contact with all publishers, big and small. And also, one very important thing to note here is that just because one should not aspire for getting a contract from a big publication house, say Rupa or whatever other big publication houses there,
Right.
because that may not be the best fit for, like best fit for you. So a literary agent is going to consider all the parameters. A good literary agent will consider all the parameters and select and based on the agreement and everything, suggest to you a publication house which is best suited to your particular needs. That's what a good literary agent will do. That does
Yeah.
not. Yeah, yeah.
So basically, he knows the publishing house's expectations, so he knows
Yes,
how to
yes,
match it.
yes,
That's what I mean.
yes. So just because 10 publication houses have, say, rejected one's idea,
Correct.
that does not mean that your idea is not good. That means that it is not suitable for them at that point in time.
Absolutely.
One should not get discouraged with that. That's my.
Absolutely. They are not interested in your line or your particular the sort of genre or your theme or whatever it is or the idea itself. So
Also one
yeah,
more thing is there, that like I'll always say this, that my second novel was a very risky kind of storyline and everything. So um, there has to be a publication house which will probably take that risk also. Now every publishing house may not have that risk appetite. So just because one has been, they may have their own internal reasons for saying no and all that, but no, one should not get dejected just because XYZ number has said no to, and I won't recommend getting sad about these things.
right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, one thing is I'm struggling with one part is should it be I'm writing on a technical topic, so
Yeah.
should it, and we have discussed this.
Yeah.
I just wanted pros and cons for discussion on the book should be on straight on the topic or with a storyline. That means as a fable.
Yeah. So I would always recommend it to be kind of like not giving the real name examples of the people with whom you work, but I would always see, because if it is a technical subject, then see, the audience would be limited if you write a purely technical book. However, if you give examples like, I don't know, names are coming to my mind right now of non of
There are
technical.
Who Moved My Cheese, Our Iceberg is Melting. A lot of fables are there
Yeah.
in technical
I
books.
would always recommend it to give it a story kind of treatment. That's what makes, that will expand the number, like expand your reader base also. However, if it
Thanks.
is very technical, only the very
Techie
people on
guys
that
will
topic
read it.
only will read that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. It helps.
So any other queries anybody has?
I see a number of people who have also themselves written attending this. So I would request them to share their experiences or ask something, on this forum. So thank you, all of you for joining today. Thank you, Arjun Hemmady, today for your excellent presentation and your slides and your analysis. I think you have really shared all the things that do matter. Uh, I would also like to share some of the things that I learned from various successful publishers. One small anecdote that I would like to share with all of you is that a very popular Western author was actually being interviewed on a multinational TV channel, in which he was in his interview he was asked that you are the best-selling author, and so how is it that you have become a best-selling author, and how do you sell so many copies? So he said that your writing is really great. So he said, you may admire my writing, but I'm not the best author. I Please note that there is a great distinction between a best author and the best-selling author, and we are all best-selling authors because we are good at selling, not necessarily good at writing. So basically, what he meant is that this whole thing is even the publishing and the everything. What he shared with us is that ultimately a publishing house is looking for profits, and he looks for content which the reader will like. So therefore, there is a big trend in self-publishing because that is where the what you mentioned, that non-controversial part is coming. So thanks a lot. A lot of things have come out through your presentation, and you've shared with us a lot of insights, which I think, especially about the editing and rewriting. I mean, that's a very much required feature of your writing, because there are many people who write something, and they love their writing so much that they don't want to change it. That's not really right. You have to put the hat of a reader and try to find the holes and scope for improvement, etc. That all these things are really very important to writers. Thanks for sharing all of them and emphasizing on all these things. I would like to thank Kanara Saraswat Association. Our Kanara Saraswat Association has been very encouraging to all the entrepreneurs. And Arjun, I think you are also an entrepreneur, and you are marketing your books. So do join CSN in Telegram group, and become active in all the other activities that CSN conducts all the time throughout the year. And you will find that you will get support from others, and you would also be able to support others in various of their and I would like to thank the CSN team, the CSN task force, and all the viewers who have joined in today, most importantly, to listen to Arjun and to ask. I would especially thank everyone who asked questions to Arjun, and made this a little more interactive and interesting session. Uh, Thanks everyone. Thanks to Kishore Masudar ma'am for being present today, and thanks all. Thanks KSA. Thanks CSN. I would now request Gautam ma'am. Uh, Gautam ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I am there.
Yeah. To conclude, I have a few words and maybe a prayer.
Okay. All the Bhanap entrepreneurs or desirous entrepreneurs who are there attending today, You all can, we have a Women's Day special ECM, what we call it, Entrepreneur Club meetings, which are held twice a month on 2nd and 4th Sundays. This second Sunday, that is 13th of March, is a Women's Day special. And we will be, in fact, we are trying to see that the entire program event is managed by ladies. Most of the slots have been filled except one, which is the moderating the ECM. So if anybody is interested, you could be a non-entrepreneur also. But if you are interested or you're good at participating in events actively, then you could connect with me. We will talk on this. So that's one thing which I need. The second ECM which will be a regular one, will be on 13, 20, 27th of March. And as and when there are events, we will be announcing them on the various groups. So in case you are an existing entrepreneur, Bhanap entrepreneur, or a desirous one, please connect with one of us, and we will, myself, Gopinath Ma'am or Kishan Ma'am, we will add you on to the various groups that are there, starting with the Telegram group. Thanks a lot. Gopi Ma'am, you want me to conclude the prayer also? Gopi Ma'am?
Yes, Gautam Ma'am. Before you do the prayer, I would also like to add a few messages on CSN. I would like to appeal to all of them to go through this Bhanap yellow pages, which is has been circulating on all the WhatsApp media. This initiative is basically to make all our Amchigala members of our community to prefer sources, Bhanap sources in services and goods that they offered by them. All the databases on the website Kanara Saraswat.com/CSN. You would go there and you could see that many of us are actually offering products and services which you use in your daily lives. Please go and select the ones, give them an opportunity, give them a chance, and perhaps their products and services are better than the ones you are already having it. Now, Gautam Ma'am, I would request you for the.
Yeah, one more thing I missed out is on 20th March in the evening at 7:30. There is a mulakat with Jiten Divgi of Pune. I think with the Divgi's industrial setup. So please do attend. The links will be shared very soon. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'll conclude in prayer, Korea. Nandantu sadhaka sarve vinashyantu vidushakaha अवस्था शांभवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोस्तु गुरु सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ओम शांति शांति शांति. Jai Shankar. Jai Shankar, and thanks to everybody for participating. Please do keep participating and encourage us to do better and better. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining in today. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Arjun, again.